Okay, good morning, everybody. This is the fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025 HUD COC program competition informational session. My name is Stephanie Bodman, and I am the program manager for homeless services for the Department of Housing and Community Development here at the county. HCD is the COC collaborative applicant, as well as the COC lead and HMIS lead for the PA 511 Bucks County, Bristol, Bensalem COC. As the collaborative applicant, it is our responsibility to have the oversight and submission of the entire consolidated application process for the competition. So in this presentation today, it will be recorded and we will post it on the COC website. So if you have any staff members that were not able to attend that would like to view it, it will be posted either this afternoon or we'll try to get it posted tomorrow morning, if not today. This is what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to do just basic overview and eligibility, go over new projects, DV bonus, expansion projects, the ranking and priority overview, consolidations, as well as the timeline and deadlines. So one major change that has occurred this year is HUD is moving to a every 2-year NOFO. So the current NOFO is for technically both fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025. So how that will work is we are doing the entire process this year in fiscal year 2024, which consists of the consolidated application, all the project applications for both renewals and new projects, as well as the ranking. HUD will award for fiscal year 2024 based on our consolidated application score, the project scoring, and how we rank. For fiscal year 2025, if they get additional money, they will look at any bonus projects that we submitted that were not funded and maybe fund those if there's sufficient funding based on our scoring from the fiscal year 2024 consolidated application and project. So we won't be required to do a new consolidated application. And the only time we'll have to do new project applications is if in 2025, we as a COC decide to reallocate any renewal projects. So that may occur if the organization goes out of business or they contact the COC and decide, we don't want to do this project anymore for whatever reason. Maybe it's a staffing issue or it just doesn't work financially for their department anymore, or if it's not part of their missions, whatever the reason is, they can choose to voluntarily reallocate their project. Or we could go through an involuntary process if we see a project that is not spending, not performing, is having any significant issues that we need to address as a COC. So that's the only reason that we would have to submit any new applications, and it would be specifically for that reallocation process if that were to occur next fall. Otherwise, everything's occurring in fiscal year 2024. So the next full consolidated application and bonus round would then occur in fiscal year 2026. I think I covered everything here. So eligible fiscal year 2024 project applications include planning costs. So that is specifically for HCD to apply for as the collaborative applicant. It's not a scored project. It's basically just staffing and activity costs to do this webinar, to do any other functions for the COC, attend committees, do monitoring, system performance, and actually doing the whole consolidated application process, the point in time count, all of that administrative work that we have to do as the collaborative applicant. Renewal projects that are eligible for 2024 funds. So all of our renewals are eligible to submit in 2024. There are some COCs that they don't have, like, their projects are on different timelines, but all of our renewal projects are eligible. So all of those projects should submit renewal applications and eSNAPs by the deadlines. And we also are accepting new or expansion projects via the reallocation process if the COC decides to do that this year, COC bonus, DV bonus, or a combination of those. And we'll get into that in the upcoming slides here. So we'll start with the new application. So we did release a request for new applications. It is also posted on our website, so you can take a look and download that to go over all of the information about what we're specifically looking for, the amounts available. So for this regular COC bonus, which is not DV specific, is 363,204 is the new updated estimate. HUD just did release that new dollar amount last week, so it's a significant increase from previous years. So based on that, if you're looking at doing a new project, I would say that this is a very large number for a new project. You don't have to submit a project for this full amount. I would recommend submitting for what you need, because we may be able to do multiple projects with this full amount, since it is much higher than previous years. Previous years, we only had like between 100 and 150 available, so that was more just one project. But with 363, we could potentially do possibly like two to three projects, depending on what they are and how much they need to operate. These are the projects that we are accepting: permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, joint TH and RH, as well as dedicated HMIS. So we are not accepting coordinated entry this year as a bonus project, which does not mean we won't in the future, but for fiscal year 2024, we have chosen not to accept new CE or expansion CE. So again, what did I go over? So again, new products for just the COC bonus is 363. There is a separate DV bonus available, which is 454,005 for this competition round. So the DV bonus projects must be 100% dedicated to category 4, victims of domestic violence. And it could be either a new project, or it also could be an expansion of an existing DV bonus project. And then obviously we do allow for expansion of existing projects. So if you have a renewal project and you want to submit a bonus application to expand that project, we will accept that. We also do consolidation through the COC process, although we don't have any renewal projects that would go through that process this year, because we don't have any projects that are the same component and the same agency that would need consolidation this year. So we're not going to really talk about that, but consolidation basically is to consolidate the same component with the same organization if they got awarded different projects throughout the years. We don't have that scenario anymore. As a COC, we did establish local priorities as well as the HUD priorities that they included in the NOFO. So we did determine as a COC that our priority project component for this year is the permanent supportive housing component. So this is primarily due to the increased number of chronically homeless individuals that we are seeing in our point in time count this year. I believe the chronic homeless number went up close to 70%. in the PIC count that was done in January 2024. So because of that, we are looking to increase our PSH beds within the county. Some of the other local COC priorities we're looking at are local critical needs, such as transportation, households with pets, households experiencing chronic homelessness, agencies that are working towards their equity goals within the organization, as well as organizations and projects that are demonstrating partnerships and use of best practices within their COC projects. So the DV, we'll talk about that specifically for a minute. Again, we are eligible to submit for up to 454,000. Again, I'm not expecting that we would get just one project that would be this entire amount, but it's possible. Project minimums are 50,000. Again, they have to be for specifically category 4. And we will accept rapid rehousing, joint THRH, as well as for DB bonus specifically, we will accept coordinate entry as well. So DB bonus does not allow for PSH applications. That is in the NOFO. That's not a COC decision. So these are the three components that you can apply for specifically for this DB bonus. Again, expansion projects. So these could be expansion of renewal projects. So if you have a renewal and you want to apply for some either COC or DB bonus, depending on the population you're proposing serving, they must be able to demonstrate that they're increasing the number of units, persons served, expanding services to program participants, or in the case of HMIS projects, adding additional activities to the HMIS. It is not eligible for capital costs, and they are 1-year funding requests, just like your renewals. So if you were to get a expansion bonus, they would just add it on to your renewal, and that total amount would increase ongoing, and you would have to apply for that new amount every year. It wouldn't be a separate project through HUD. So for new projects, a couple next steps, we did post everything on the COC website on August 19th. We also sent it out via the COC distribution list via email. Intents to apply are due by this Friday, August 30th to our HCD email. I would just recommend, like, if you don't know the exact amount you want to apply for by Friday, that is fine. If you can just, you know, put what you intend to apply for, whether it's your renewal and an expansion of your renewal, or if it's just your renewal or just a new project, whatever it is, you can just put what you're planning to apply for. You don't need to actually put the dollar amount by Friday unless you know the dollar amount specifically, but if you don't, that's fine. We're not expecting dollar amounts in the intent emails. Typically, you don't actually know the exact dollar amount until you go through the application process in eSnaps. We will send a response within 5 businesses, just saying just confirming that we received the intents to apply, and if there's any additional follow-up questions, we'll ask that in that email. But it is just a way for HCD to kind of get a sense of how many new projects we're getting in. So if once the deadline hits in eSnaps and we can look at the projects, we make sure that we don't have any missing or anything we need to follow up on, that what we're expecting to receive, we received. If you do submit an intent to apply and then decide not to apply, that's fine too. You're not beholden to apply if you submitted an intent. We also sent out in the August 19th email, and is on the website, a supplemental questionnaire that needs to be filled out by both new and renewal projects. It is posted to the website, and it's due on the same date that the eSnaps projects are due. So you can just send that via email to that HCD as well. eSnaps. So this eSnaps is the HUD system where you have to submit new and renewal projects. There is a lot of helpful material on the HUD COC competition page. So if you go down here, if you just Google COC program competition, it'll come up. It has very detailed step-by-step guides to log into eSnaps, to create a new project, to do your renewal project. It's very step-by-step, very detailed, very straightforward. HCD can provide a little bit of a TA if you have any specific questions, but we can't see your projects until they actually get submitted to us. So we can't necessarily help you through the process too much because we can't see it on our end. But if you run into issues, you can reach out and we can try to guide you. And they do have a specific help, like IT help address as well, that you can email if you do run into a lot of trouble and we're not sure how to help you there. The ranking and priority overview is the next section we'll go over. So we do have to, as a COC, rank all of the applications that we get in, that we are moving forward in the process. So how it'll work is once the applications are submitted, which we'll talk about in a little bit, there is like the detailed scoring criteria. Everything will be scored and everything will be ranked in an order for tier 1 and tier 2. HUD operates on a 2-tier process for COC competitions. In tier 1, we're allowed to submit 90% of our ARD, which is basically 90% of our renewal project amounts. And then the rest has to fall in tier 2. Typically, tier 1 is safe. They'll typically, as long as you meet all the requirements, HUD will award the COCs whatever's in tier 1 for the most part. Tier 2 is where it gets more on the scoring. So the higher we score as a continuum on our consolidated application, the more projects that we will get in tier 2. So typically, tier 2 contains all of our bonus projects that scored the highest that we're including, and then the HUD will just kind of go down the list and fund those projects based on the amount we have available and the scoring. So we always try to score as high as we possibly can for the higher chance of getting both all of our renewals, but also bonus projects as well. And again, that detailed scoring criteria of what we're looking for new and renewal projects was sent out on August 19th and is available for download on the website. So once projects are submitted, as well as those supplemental questionnaires, we will be doing 2 levels of review before the actual scoring happens. So we'll be doing an eligibility threshold review of all projects. So that's just looking at real basic stuff. It's looking to make sure you're an eligible organization submitting, things like that. And then the quality review is very HUD specific that they are looking for. It is in our ranking and scoring criteria, but they're looking for very specific things per project type and awarding points that way. So once you submit an application, we're going to go through your application, make sure it meets the minimum number of points for the quality review. And once it does, then we'll move it forward to do the actual scoring. So there's those 2 levels there. And again, there's a lot of detail in the scoring criteria that you can look at. So just make sure that your projects are hitting that those levels once you submit them, and then the scoring will take place. We do have a new project review committee that's comprised of representatives of agencies that are not applying for COC funding. They will be scoring all of the new project and supplemental questionnaires, as well as the supplemental questionnaires for renewal projects. So once all the scoring's done, then the COC exec will review the ranking and scoring decisions based on those points for the priority listing. So this just goes over some of the new project scoring for the RRH and PSH, the rapid and permanent supportive housing project type. So we're looking at experience. And again, the scoring criteria has a lot more detail on each of these, but we're looking at the organization's experience with administering a similar project type. The description, what the need is for it in the COC, how to improve our system performance. Will it participate in coordinated entry? Will it follow a housing first approach, and some examples of how it'll do that? Is it an expansion project of renewal or specifically a new project? And does it meet certain requirements based on which one it is? Description of the housing and services it'll provide, coordination with benefits and other services, the financial information of the project, and leveraging housing resources. So HUD is looking again in this year's NOFO for commitments, MOUs, where permanent housing projects will utilize housing subsidies or subsidized housing units for at least 25% of the anticipated program participants or healthcare participants. So basically, it's looking for commitments of, if you have a rapid project, 25% of the households you're projected to serve will maybe have housing choice vouchers, things like that. There's also a healthcare component where it's looking at partnerships with healthcare agencies to provide healthcare related services for a certain percentage of clients or a certain dollar amount. So it is really looking just that you're expanding your partnerships, you're bringing in more resources that maybe HUD's not necessarily providing through the COC competition to make your project more sustainable, but also provide more services for your clients. Joint TH is pretty similar. I don't think there's anything majorly different besides the expansion or new. If you're expanding, there's a certain number of household serve we're looking for. And for new, we're in the detailed instructions, we're also looking for a certain number, a minimum of households for this component. HMIS is a little different because it's not a housing project. So we're just looking at how, again, the need and how to improve system performance, the functionality of HMIS, that it meets all the current requirements for HMIS, stakeholder involvement in it, as well as financial information for the project. And then for renewal project scoring, it is a lot more quantitative versus qualitative. New project is more qualitative. So the quantitative, we're really utilizing the projects in your performance report APR that they submitted to HUD and SAGE for a lot of this, as well as HMIS data for recidivism and that supplemental questionnaire that we mentioned earlier. So all of these, more quantitative metrics will be on a sliding scale, so there will be some partial points available. We did utilize Stella data to look at overall data performance within our COC and adjusted the scoring based on our performance so that it's not dramatically different than what we're actually seeing within our COC. So again, we're looking at all of these, that you fully expended the APR, you commit to a housing first model, you're participating in the coordinated entry process, all of that. For bonus DV projects, we do have some bonus points available for demonstrating in the description how the project will do a trauma-informed approach, as well as has victim-centered policies and practices. For those bonus, we are looking for examples and pretty detailed specifics. You can't just say you're doing that. We need to know how you're doing it and give specific examples of that. So timelines. So applications are due in eSnaps, the HUD system, no later than September 20th. If we, by end of day, applications submitted after that date, we cannot accept. So make sure you submit your applications, preferably a couple days earlier in case of any technical issues. Once they are submitted, we're going to do those quality and threshold reviews and do the scoring with the review committee, as well as the quantitative scoring for the renewals. After all that's done, we're going to meet with our COC governance board or executive committee. We'll look at all the scoring, we'll propose ranking based on the scoring. And then by October 11th, after the COC exec meets and does their voting for this, we will notify all the applicants of inclusion, rejection, or reduction of their project application amounts by October 11th. So this is our kind of date. So it may be a day before that, but by October 11th, we will send out those emails as well as post on the COC website the final ranking of all the projects. Again, this is just our whole timeline, which is available on the COC website. So you can see that our goal submission date is October 29th. The actual application's due on the 30th, but again, we like to submit a day or two early, just in case of any technical issues, to make sure that it is submitted by HUD's deadline, so that we're kind of operating on submitting it a day early at this point. We'll stop here for any questions that you may have. I think I saw.
Steph, you have a couple questions in the chat if you
great.
want to take a look.
For the full amount of the DV bonus, no, you don't have to apply for that full amount. We can accept multiple DV projects. The only project type that we can accept multiple of is coordinate entry. They are only allowing one CE DV bonus per COC. But rapid and the other ones, it can be multiple projects, so you don't have to apply for the full amount. So it's a large amount. So we wouldn't expect someone to apply for the entire 454 per se. We can accept multiple projects. Brittany, you did respond to that one. For renewal projects that have not yet submitted an APR, how will it be evaluated for the expansion? So the expansion project is scored based on like being a new project. So we're not necessarily looking too much at your renewal project scoring. It's more so we're looking at how you scored in your new project. So so you can basically follow the scoring criteria of the new project applications, but there's nothing in the NOFO that prohibits a renewal project, an eligible renewal project to submit a bonus. If that makes sense. So you can submit one and it's going to follow the new project scoring criteria, not your renewal. So it's okay that there's not an APR yet submitted for the renewal. Oh, Brittany, looks like you did answer that one too. Were there any other questions besides those? Okay. So just some next steps. Again, email your intents to apply for either renewal, new, or both by August 30th to the HCD email, or respond to within 5 business days, just confirming we received that. Applications are due in eSnaps by September 20th, end of day. Any questions, any general questions, you can email the HCD website and we'll get back to you and try to help as much as we can. And then a lot of great resources are on the HUD competition page, the eSnaps toolkit. Here's a direct link to the NOFO as well. That's very detailed about the entire process. But I would recommend going to that competition page and downloading all of their navigational guides, their detailed instructions. It's really going to walk you through how to get everything set up in eSnaps, how to submit. It's going to give you great guidance about how to, what they're looking for in a renewal, as well as referencing our scoring criteria to make sure you hit all the major points that everybody's looking for your application. Okay, if there's no other questions, I will go ahead and stop recording now.